everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. Well, it's a busy time of year and we seem to have lots to review. Mainly Marco has a lot more than me, but I have a lot of listing to do. But anyway, that's another story. Tonight we are reviewing a new series, and it is about the making of the Godfather movie, which I was very interested in. And it is called The Offer. And the title of the very first episode is, Marco?
A Seat at the Table.
A Seat at the Table.
Wow, it's almost like some writers can actually come up with titles that are relevant to the episode.
Because they mentioned that line several times in the episode.
Good job.
So, does everybody know what The Godfather's about? Well, hopefully you do by now, because it's been around since I was in 6th grade.
Yeah, it'd be good to watch the movie before watching the show, because there's lots of little nods and references to the movie. Like there's a scene where he's at there's a guy in a restaurant, and it's sort of mirroring the sequence in the movie where there's a big scene that happens in a restaurant, and lots of stuff like that. I really think you should watch the movie before watching the show. It's not like Twin Peaks where you can watch the prequel movie and then watch the first 2 seasons. You need to watch that movie before watching this.
Well, as you well know, maybe, The Godfather was originally a book written by Mario Puzo. And the person who produced the movie, that is what the series is based on, because he wrote a book as well about the making of the movie and all the ups and downs and everything they went through to make it. And apparently it was a lot more challenging than people realized. I remember I lived in Kansas City, and who lives in Kansas City too? The Mafia, a huge part. And the Italian community did not like the book, and they did not like the movie because they thought it made all Italians look bad, which it didn't. They're just being oversensitive. And there's a singer in the book and the movie. His name is Johnny, but I don't remember his last name. And everybody thought, I remember back then, that was based on the real person, Frank Sinatra. And guess what? Frankie Boy did not like that movie, and he did not
wait a second. Why are you leading with that?
Well, I'm just saying, there's just a lot of things that
near the end of the episode.
I know, but a lot of things happened that nobody was aware of, so I really liked the series start, and Marco will discuss it further, what he thinks, because he wasn't around at that time. But it's just interesting that there's a lot more to the story. And, you have to wonder, is it like this for other movies too? Is there some big story?
Yes.
So, but this is very interesting. And anyway, go ahead, Marco.
Fine. So I thought...
I don't know the names of the actors either.
I was excited for this show. I thought it would be a pretty good show. And I thought it would be something that I'd just watch and not even review. But I thought I should just review it anyway, because what the hell? It's something I'm watching. It's a new release, and so maybe other people will care what opinion we have to say about it. Personally, I really like these types of movies and shows where they show behind the scenes, and not just behind the scenes, but also just in general, showing history and showing different stories from different people. This story is a particular environment with particular types of people, and you have other shows and movies that are different, and they have different types of people and things. And so that's why this is interesting, because it allows you to see a different type of perspective. It allows you to see a different world. And it's almost like akin to how the Godfather movie showed the inside of a mafia world. And this movie's showing the inside of a Hollywood world, which Hollywood's kind of like the mafia right now, unfortunately. And so this show, it's pretty good. I would give, well, okay, I guess we should just go ahead and give our ratings. I give this episode a B-. And I give it that because it was fun. I think that that's the number one word I'd use to describe it. It was fun. There were quite a few scenes where I thought these are really good scenes in isolation, like the scene where Mario is in the restaurant and he confronts Frank Sinatra on accident. That's a very, very good scene. But then you have a lot of other scenes, like there's this really queer scene where there's this Hollywood executive and his girlfriend, and they're going to have sex in the pool, and it's just portrayed so silly and so cartoonish that
and cliche-ish.
I can't enjoy it. Like, there's nothing about it to enjoy.
Not that part, anyway.
Well, like, just in general, like, a lot of scenes like that. It's not, like, that particular scene mostly, but, like, a lot of scenes like that where they were very cartoony, cutesy, typical scenes where, like, they're talking about the movie, quoting the movie and stuff like that, and lots of really cutesy, dopey scenes like that, and that's what really weighed the show down. As well, there were lots of characters who were caricatures, and they were way too over the top, and I could not take them seriously. And that was an issue because there's a lot of other movies that take place in Hollywood where they're a lot more understated, and they're a lot more like in the middle about their portrayals, and I think that those are better. Like even in Licorice Pizza, you had Bradley Cooper playing that real life guy, and he was very over the top, but he was understated at the same time. He wasn't a full-on cartoon caricature, but the characters in this show are so cartoony. I mean, they might as well be animated. They have like all this paint on their face, and they got all this grease in their hair, like they've never washed their hair before. And then you got the best parts of the show. The best actors are the main guy, Miles, playing, I guess, the producer, but I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Ruddy. So he's playing him, and I thought he did a pretty good job so far. In a lot of movies with Miles Teller, he is very dopey, and I kind of just want to punch him in the face. Like, he's just got this face where it's like, it looks like something that you want to punch. Like, that you, like, just, like, imagining, like, just going, BAM! Right in Miles Teller's face. It maybe, like, it just, that's what I get from him, like, the vibe. Like, he's just the perfect person that you want to punch in the face. But in other movies, he does, like, a really good job where he puts on, like, a really serious performance, like in the Bleed for This movie, Whiplash movie. He's a pretty good actor, and I think that he's doing a pretty good job in this show, and I'm glad to see him in something else because I think he is a little underrated. A lot of people, they just kind of what do they call that again? Typecast him? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They just kind of typecast him and kind of write him off. And I think that he's a lot better than people realize. And then also I would say the guy who played Mario Puzo, he did a great job too. Because he was very understated and he was very real. And I thought he was really, really good.
What about the guy who played Francis Ford Coppola?
Well, I was getting to that, Safi. He was the best part. Francis Ford Coppola was the best part of the whole episode. We only watched the first episode so far. He was the best part easily. Like, he came in And it was like, see, this is the perfect impression. He wasn't too over the top. He wasn't too subtle. He was right in the middle. And he just did a perfect impression without being cartoony. Because with that actor especially, it was surprising. Because in the past, he's been known for playing characters who are goofy jokes. Like he did this one movie called Take Me Home Tonight.
He said that too in the movie.
He did?
Yeah, he said, I don't know, he's talking about the parts he played. The other guy was saying something too about the parts he played. They were small and just what you said. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Go ahead, Marco.
Did you see an interview or something?
No, it was right there in the movie.
That's weird.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, he was in that movie, and he was a very goofy character. I actually liked that movie, and other people didn't. And then he's also in one of my favorite comedies of all time, Fanboys. And he was the one who I was expecting to play the over-the-top cartoony caricature. And so I was surprised that he was the one who did the best job. I was like, what the hell? Like, he gave a performance that was like a good performance. Like, he could play Francis Ford Coppola in a full movie or a full show. And so I was really surprised by that, because in the past he's been very goofy. Very goofy. So, Safi, what do you have to say about the show? Give us your thoughts on the little agendas, too.
Well, I don't know about any little agendas, but I didn't care. I didn't care for some of the stuff at the beginning, which was it made all these people in Hollywood very artificial and fake. And I didn't like that. I don't know if that's true. I can't believe that they would all be that way. And it kind of turned me off, so I didn't give it a full A, too.
They were very fragrant, those characters.
I think when I started to like it is when they got into, they didn't start talking about the Godfather right away, because Mario Puzo was into some money. He owed money, and he was a struggling writer. And his wife encouraged him to write this book about something that he really knew a lot about, and he was getting pressure to pay that money, or because he owed 2 bookies, apparently. And so he sat down and he typed it away, and it became a huge success. And the mafia was upset because they thought it was that somebody had gotten some kind of inside line on them, and that wasn't true at all. It was just made up in his head. But
he said he did when he was a kid. He said he saw.
Well, yeah, that's
true. He grew
true.
up with them.
But it's still, the story is made up.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the
true.
actual story.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing with when that started with him and his wife, and when the producer came and they said, we want you to write the screenplay too. And his wife said, well, he has diabetes. You got to watch him like a hawk because he just eats out of control and he needs to lose weight. And I mean, I liked all that because that was real. But some of that stuff at the beginning with the Hollywood, I just found that hard to believe that they would all be fake. I know some people are. I'm not dumb.
They're so over the top that it's unbelievable. Like, if they had mannerisms like that, but they weren't so over the top that they're like cartoons, it'd be fine. But they were so over the top that it was like it was phony.
Yeah, I didn't care for that at all. I don't like that fake stuff. I don't like the hair, the fake poofy hair and the makeup, the heavy makeup,
I think all that stuff is for the most part true, though.
It probably is but I don't like it. I just didn't like it.
That's not relevant.
It doesn't matter. But the rest of it, when they start focusing on, and they have to go into it at the beginning, how they even do it, where it comes from. I didn't know anything about, like I said, back then when you got information, it was very limited. We didn't have all this social media stuff. We didn't have all these, like this Amber Heard trial, Johnny Depp, they have people sitting in there that are recording stuff every single day. We didn't have stuff like that. And I had no idea that Frank Sinatra was really bent out of shape about this. But, everybody was saying that. They did think the character in the book was based on him. It wasn't, but but he thought it was, and a lot of people thought it was. So I do remember that. So
Well, it's weird because it's like he really thinks that that's the first time that a character has been based off of someone in real life. Like, there's so many characters who are based off of people that people like. Like, for instance, if they had created the Jack Sparrow character without Johnny Depp playing him, everyone would still say, oh, that's Johnny Depp. And so just because he's playing him, it's like there's a lot of characters where they're based off of people loosely, like Dr. Mordred is based off of Doctor Strange. There's so many examples of that. It's kind of hilarious. And so it's just kind of retarded that, Frank Sinatra, he's just so upset and sensitive, and he's just such a big baby bitch.
Well, the thing is, he was very popular. People really liked him.
Yeah.
Just like the guy, Mario Puzo, in the restaurant said, my mother just thought you were the greatest. And he said, you insult me and you insult the whole Italian community. And I'm like, oh, God, really?
It's like, grow up.
Oh, come on. I was just shocked. I couldn't see. I didn't hear a thing about that. Maybe other people did. But no, we wouldn't hear about stuff like that. There's just no way. Maybe if you lived there and you were another actor in that, filming community, you would know about stuff like that. You would have heard it, but I sure as heck didn't know. I read the book.
It is good because it really shows the end result from censorship. Because once you start censoring people and ideas, it always ends up to where people get killed if they express different ideas than you. And just the fact that, like, you have this immature, babyish group of men in suits running around with oil in their hair and these big Tommy guns shooting up people's cars because they're making a movie for people to watch. It's so babyish and immature.
I didn't know anything about that either.
It just shows, like, see, this is the problem. This is what people face today, but a lot worse. And so it just really shows, like, how you had this censorship problem even back then. There were always these controversies with these big movies that would come out, like with American Psycho. When that movie came out, you had all these feminazis who complained and protested and all that trash. And it's like there's a clear problem with people who are so entitled that they think that they're allowed to dictate what other people do and say, and that type of behavior needs to be stopped. And so I really think that I can't wait to see how the studio hopefully stands up to these fucking losers, these mafia losers.
Yeah, because the movie was made, and what's funny is they didn't just make this movie, they made sequels.
Yeah.
So, God, if that was so horrible, why did they, quote, let them make sequels?
They made video games, too.
Yeah, whatever. It just kind of freaks me out, because I do remember the Italian community in Kansas City was very unhappy that the movie had been made and the book was written.
You've already said that, Safi.
I know, but it's funny.
You've already said that.
I can't believe it.
What else do you have to say about the episode?
Well, I just,
The sky is blue? Okay.
That's it.
And,
I don't know what else to say. I liked it for the most part, except the beginning. But they do have to kind of lead up to what's going on.
It is entertaining.
It isn't just an automatic thing. They start talking about the Godfather, because that's not true.
It is entertaining watching the writers and the different aspects of the film come together, all thanks to this producer, and watching him trying to control, like, the writing and to make sure that he's basically steering a ship. and he has to make sure all the parts are in place and things. And it was really funny when he walks out and he sees Mario in the pool, and he's got like an entire tray of lasagna that he's eating, and he looks like Garfield, like eating lasagna.
Yeah, he's lying on one of those floaties, and with this, I thought it was a big bowl of chips.
He's like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you working on the script?"
Yeah, and he was very upset. And so he is the one who decided, let's get Francis Ford Coppola, because he's Italian and he is experienced, and they could work together. And that was probably a very good decision, because he had just had that interaction with Frank Sinatra. He was very upset about it. I think he was trying to stab him with a fork. Wasn't he trying to do that? I mean, it was really bad. And so
Mario was trying to stab him with the fork to defend himself.
Right. And so it was a good choice. And then you see Mario and Francis in the kitchen. I guess they're making spaghetti sauce. And they said, hey, let's put this in the movie. The mobsters are they're competing to see who can make the better spaghetti sauce. And I do remember, I don't know if it was in the first one, but one of the guys making the sauce in prison, they bring
that is Goodfellas, Safi.
Oh, it's Goodfellas? Well, anyway.
That's totally unrelated.
Yeah, but I guess they didn't use that. But anyway, it was a very popular movie. Very, very
people
popular.
know. I think people know that by now.
Oh, I know.
And so I really think the best parts are when people are working on making the movie, in terms of like the two writers and things like that. But the worst parts are all the rest of the parts of the episode. Like, you have all these scenes where you just have these goofy cartoons in business rooms having these meetings. And they say the stupidest shit, too. Like, the stuff that they say is just so... It's just, you can't believe that Hollywood executives are this dumb.
Well, they're just they're like robots.
They're so closed-minded. They're so impersonal and inhuman and
awful.
Just really bad types of people. And then you have the main characters who are all... I really like all the main characters.
Yeah.
It seemed like there were a few weird agendas here and there. Like, just weird little things where, like, I'm not sure if he talks about it in the book or what, but, like, there's all these parts where, like, they emphasize, like, how multiple characters grew up with single mothers and things.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand,
I've never heard of that.
why they kept on emphasizing it. Like, it's almost like they're trying to, like, show that, like, I don't know, like...
They never talked about stuff.
They're trying to glorify that type of behavior.
Well, they never talked about stuff like that back then.
Yeah,
Ever.
but nowadays, they glorify it all the time, and they say it's the best thing women can do, and they don't believe in nuclear families anymore. And so that's what it kind of seemed like, was there were a few agendas here and there. But I don't know. I can't really say definitively.
I would like to read the book.
Yeah. I think the main guy is pretty cool, too, because he's... I just finished reading a book about the guy in charge of Full Moon. And let's just say that the guy who is the star of this show, he's a lot more inspirational. He's a lot more cool than the guy in the book that I just read. He's a lot more... I don't know, there's just something about him where he's really inventive, and it seems like he's the type of character you want to watch a show about, and so I can't wait to see what other problems he has to deal with. So, what did you give the episode, Safi?
I'll give it a B, okay?
Okay.
And that's for all the parts that I liked. And it would be an A, probably an A minus, because it's the very first episode. But if it hadn't been for all that fake crap at the beginning, I just didn't care for it.
Was it really just at the beginning, or wasn't it sprinkled throughout the whole episode?
It was, but there was a big emphasis on the beginning.
Oh.
because, well, and I understand they didn't just go right into making The Godfather. You know, the producer that who we're talking about, he was on the show Hogan's Heroes, and if anybody remembers that, I've heard about it. It was a very, very funny, good show about American soldiers in a Nazi prison camp. And they talked about McHale's Navy. I watched that. That was a good show too. And it was a very prison Hogan's Heroes was a very successful series. Both of them were, but he was on that one and he left it. And so they talked about this because he wanted to do bigger and better things. And so, you know, you have to show kind of an evolution, an intro, a beginning.
Yeah, I thought that was good. So I don't understand why you're not complaining.
Well, there's just some parts with the people that I didn't care for.
Just the caricatures.
Yeah, I didn't care for.
A lot of them had these weird, funny voices too. Like they're trying to do these like character voices, but they're like.
Why would they do that?
I'm a mafia guy, so I sound really mean and cruel. And then like, I'm a big studio executive, and I'm gonna do this over the top voice the entire show. And like that's what these actors were doing, and it was really kind of cringeworthy.
I don't like that.
It was like,
they don't need to do that.
Is this a comedy or is this like a show where we're learning? Like, there's bits of comedy, but like, is this a full-on comedy? Like, is this just a joke? Because I don't think it's a joke. I think that it's like a good. It's it shouldn't be this comedic and goofy and lighthearted, but I do like the fact that it had a lot of color in it. They did not suck out the color, and I was thankful for that, because every time they do these historical movies or movies that are about the past in any way, they always suck out the color.
No, that's a sepia tone.
Yeah.
And it was not a sepia tone time.
So,
I lived in it.
I'm glad about
sepia
that.
Tone.
Yeah, it's like not everything in the 70s looked yellow and brown. Mindhunter, because that's what the show Mindhunter did, and it really pissed me off.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they would do that, because if you look at the hard goods, the pottery, the china, it's very, very, very colorful, bright colors.
And all the bikinis that the women wore back then, they were colorful too. Right, Safi?
Yeah, I mean, really, come on. Give me a break.
Oh, no, they're all brown.
Yeah, they're all brown.
They're all brown and yellow.
We all look like sepia figures. The whole world was sepia toned. I mean, come on. So, okay, well, we'll be back. We're going to watch MasterChef Junior later on tonight, and we'll be doing a review of that episode. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.